I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
Man, that is
On this
that
sad
is a
clown.
sad clown.
Proud of my address.
Dude, that's pretty good.
This is The Gloom, bringing you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha Packs, exploring their F3 experiences and finding those sticky elements that create the glue in the gloom. This episode, we got a guy who's actually driving. I think we've done one of these during a run, and we've done one when I was in the car. I remember, I forget whose that was, but I remember one time being in the car. But also a really great leader. I've had some time to just talk through with this guy about life in the gloom, and just really getting to know him, really enjoy his company. And so Yogi, man, we're excited to see you and just have a chance to hear your story. Where we like to start off is just that first workout, who EH'd you, what was the first workout like, and then tell us how you got the name Yogi.
Yeah, definitely. Glad to be here with you guys. My first who EH'd me was Escobar. We actually went to high school together, and a funny story was I had actually just I had been in pretty bad physical shape in the last, about a year and a half before I got EH'd. I had started getting into shape, and I started dieting and was kind of getting into a better physical fitness state. And I think Escobar had put something on Facebook about a men's workout group, and kind of as I was on a fitness journey myself, it sounded interesting. And first time I went out was we were at the farm on a Friday in June of 2021. So actually my 2 years is going to be in the next couple of weeks here. But this was about 2 years ago, and we went out and yeah, it was a hard workout, but it was great. It was just kind of exactly what I needed, And I had started getting in shape during COVID, and a lot of that was, you're by yourself, treadmills and weights and just the camaraderie and getting to meet some other guys and that were kind of in the same zone as I was. It was awesome.
Well, tell us how you got the name. Let's go through Name-orama.
So at the end there, we were talking about stuff you do, your likes and whatnot. I kind of was going over things I enjoy in my spare time, and I do a lot of camping. I own an RV, and I spend a lot of time on the weekends at a camping lease. And they came up with the name Yogi.
That's awesome. So, is there an actual sound that follows it?
I believe it's the boo boo, the a boo boo.
Hey, boo boo. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think Mufasa started that.
That's awesome. So, what were your, I guess, overall thoughts on the first workout? Were you all in? Were you kind of hesitant, reluctant to come back? I guess, what were your thoughts following that first beat down?
I was all in after that. It was super challenging and it was super tough, but I was in a place where I kind of thought I was in shape. And then I realized how much I was not in shape, actually. So, it was, just the running and the carrying heavy things and the repetitive, push-ups and Merkins and whatnot. I kind of realized, maybe I'm not as in good shape as I thought I was. And that was on Friday. So like, hey, come back on Monday. Yeah, we have this workout called the Murph. You'll love that. And that was my second workout.
Nice. What did you think of the Murph? Had you done that before, or?
And that was the first time I'd done a Murph. So, yeah, that was super challenging. But it was motivating seeing the guys that were double Murphing every Monday. And I thought to myself, that's my goal, is I want to be able to do two in one morning. And I ended up getting there too. So
Nice.
No, that's good. And I feel like the Murph is kind of a notch for some guys under the belt. I mean, if you talk to people that aren't even F3, they know what the Murph is, right? And it's kind of a universal workout. So, and it's tough. Everyone knows it's tough. So
yeah.
Kind of get that under your belt is solid. It sounds like you're bought in pretty quick. I mean, are we talking everyday poster, every couple of days as time permits? What did it look like for you?
Yeah, so for me, it my wife actually has she's in a workout group with some people at her work, and they do Tuesday, Thursdays. So with her schedule, I was every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the first year, and a lot of Saturdays and some Sundays too.
So were you part of the because there's a fairly large Millard South core group, right, that started joining around the same time. So you're part of that core group, right? The Millard Mojo.
Yeah. There was me and Escobar went to Millard South, and overtime, big house. He doesn't post too frequently anymore. My brother Rowdy. So yeah, there was a handful of us that all kind of came on that summer, and Sister Act had launched the main stage. It was within probably 6 weeks of my first posting, and being so close to, I still live in the area, that was really convenient. And then that kind of got us to be able to bring out a lot more guys that we knew, and we kind of were starting to a lot of other guys, and then that kind of eventually led into our own set on Mondays.
That's awesome, man. It's interesting for me to hear guys getting super bought in super early and EHing guys really quick, because I was the complete opposite. I was still a little unsure whether or not I wanted to share it or not, and I think that you are kind of like the epitome of what everyone should be doing. Is you realize it's something good and you should be sharing it as quick as possible. I do want to continue to focus on the first F piece real quick. You're bought in, you're working out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. At what point are you taking on your VQ, and walk us through that experience too?
Yeah, so it was that was a funny story too. We my VQ was probably 6 weeks after I first started. Sister Act had a couple pop-ups there at Millard South, and I think he realized we were all in that area, so we were bringing in Millard contingent all the time, and that's when he asked me to VQ. I think it was the middle of August of that year, and I had just started at the end of June, and I wasn't quite sure if I was ready, but I was all in, and it went smoothly, and happy I did it.
Well, I am curious how much support you got into the lead up of your VQ, because I hear different answers here. I've heard some guys say, I'm just here to kind of as a lifeline. If they need me, I kind of let them run with it at, their own pace and however they want to do it. And then I've seen the flip side of it where, for my VQ, Tater Tot reached out to me. We went over like the Google Maps image of where I was going to, and then he's walking through, hey, what are you thinking, and timing and exercise and step by step by step. So I guess I'm kind of curious, what did Sister Act provide? Not to put him too much on the spot here.
Yeah. He provided, he had sent over some of the blank, Q forms with breakdowns on time, and I actually used the old backblasts as a resource. So I would go into old backblasts and read through those and see what other guys had done, and in my limited amount of F3 time, I was able to kind of look back on the things that I enjoyed and was able to piece something together, and you always have to. He always reminded me to have extra things, because a lot of times it'll go faster than you expect it to, and it'll be over before you know it, and you don't want to, run too short or too long. And it ended up, he provided me the resources and left himself available. He offered to co-Q for my VQ, but I felt pretty comfortable, going out on my own.
I think we've noticed too. I mean, you mentioned 6 weeks after you started, you did your VQ, and I think we're noticing that is sort of a hook for guys, right? If we can get a guy to VQ, maybe month or 2 months in, and give them a taste of what we're all about with the leadership stuff. I mean, I think that's we've seen that work for a lot of guys. Do you feel like for you, did the VQ do some of that, or was it more sort of being able to reminisce with some of your high school buddies, or what do you think? Or it sounds like maybe even you were just bought in from the get-go.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was pretty much bought in from the get-go, but I think being thrust into a leadership position really quick, not necessarily a position, but everyone's a leader. It's a rotating leader, but just feeling like the actual leadership, with guys like Sister Act and Tater Tot and those guys felt confident that I could lead. It gave me confidence to do it and buy in even more.
Yeah, it's one thing for a group to say we value leadership, but then never let anybody else lead, right? As opposed to like, actually, no, we value leadership and you're going to lead. I think there's a difference there. Talk to me a little bit about, because I think a lot of us are, I don't know, maybe it's just Pony and I, but we're reliving some glory days from high school, and but I can't get many of my high school friends to come out. So what's that been like? Because I'm sure the fellowship piece has been pretty natural because you're rebuilding or extending relationships. But what's been your experience there?
Yeah. It's kind of cool because it's a lot of times, especially when you get out of school, you don't stay as close with a lot of those guys, and you do your own things, you drift away. And we're lucky, maybe lucky, maybe not, but you have that the social media is out there, so you can stay vaguely connected. Where, oh yeah, I know he's married, I know he's he's doing this or that, but you're able to reconnect with people. And what I feel like, if you take a break for 15-20 years and then you can reconnect with someone, and you're both in similar positions in your career, family, life, it's you can build on that, and it's been kind of cool.
I love that. I love the idea of getting to reconnect. And I think the one of the challenges, right, is sort of as we reconnect, maybe a certain amount of things have changed to where you maybe are rebuilding that relationship, or but kind of this idea of, for a lot of guys, having to build new friendships or relationships in the group. How do you feel like you feel like you were welcomed in by guys you didn't know, or have been able to build some new relationships there too?
Oh, definitely. I feel like I've made a ton of new friends, and lifelong friends. I've met a lot of guys. It's funny, I had I made a career change based off an F3 guy I met, and then we at my new career, we had a Christmas party in Kansas City, and then I had an F3 guy's daughter babysit the kids while we were in Kansas City. So the whole time we were driving down there, my wife was thinking it was funny that we're driving to this because of F3. We have an F3 person, related person watching the kids, and it's kind of all encompassed in your life, and it's for the better.
Yeah, it's so strange, like the connections that you make. Omaha is already a small town. Small town feel, for me at least. I feel like everyone kind of knows each other. I guess, were you taking advantage of some of the second F opportunities that we had, and not just necessarily the first F to expand on those connections?
Oh, definitely. I feel like I would say 90% of my connections and interactions, meeting new people, learning more about, careers, backgrounds, families. I think that all happens at coffee. I mean, that's where I think where all the deals get done. It's when we're after a workout and you're sitting around for 30, 45 minutes. And that's probably where I've met and made some of my strongest connections, was just hanging out afterwards and drinking coffee, or, I've been to a handful of the lunches and the poker tournaments and this and that. So it's, I would say the second F aspect is probably one of the biggest when it comes in terms of connecting with other guys.
What, for a guy that hasn't done the poker tournament or some of those events, what's that been like?
Yeah, it's fun. It's just the guys you work out with, the guys you drink coffee with, and then you see them, later in the day, and you just kind of continue to build on those relationships that you made in the gloom.
Yeah, I love that. As you were talking, I was thinking, for me, this has sort of turned into like a coffee group with just sort of a requirement to work out beforehand. It's like,
Yeah.
like it's, I don't know. What, as you're thinking about second F stuff, have you had a chance to do any of the like free to lead or Q source discussions? Has that had an impact on you second F wise?
Yeah, a little bit. I've led one Q source, and sat in on a handful of them, but I haven't not done a ton of that.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's one of those things we try to provide, right, to allow guys to go a little bit deeper. But if you're finding that connection other places, what about like running and that sort of stuff? Have you gotten a chance to build any relationships on a run? I think we hear a lot of times the pre-run is a
Yeah, I would definitely say that. And, I think pre-running's about as much second F as it is first F. That was something I really got into and really embraced early on as well. Um, pre-running. I will say I've had a pretty rough winter. The last 4 or 5 months have not been as kind to me for pre-running, but that first year and a half, I was all in on the pre-run. Every workout was a double for me basically, and that's where I had never really run more than a 5K, and then I was running a 10K once a month. I ran my first half marathon within 8 months, so it was a fast progression.
what about, I mean, as you're thinking about, you get into this fitness group, kind of rebuilding or, reigniting some relationships and then, thinking about the faith piece, that third F, what's been your sort of journey or experience there? How does it all connect for you?
The third F aspect. I mean, I'm not a particularly church going, I guess I would say, but I will say it has really had an impact on me that there's something greater than myself. Just the group's always there for you. And this winter I did have a loss in our family, and I feel like just having the group there was really helped me get really helped me move forward with that. The guys reaching out and you know all the prayers, the texts, the calls. I mean, it really reinforces that it is a greater than yourself.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys too, just praying at the end, right? Sometimes a COT may have sort of a faith component, but you hit the nail on the head there, right? It's when we talk about faith, we're not talking about a religious set of beliefs or practices, right? It's really we're not the center, right? And I think and everybody's at a different spot in their journey there. As you're thinking about maybe some of those challenges in life, or maybe those areas where the group steps in and you really find true community, you mind sharing a little bit deeper on any of those, or totally fine if you don't want to, but
Yeah, definitely. For instance, my like I was kind of saying earlier, I started my own kind of took my career on my own this last year, and I spent a month in Florida. That was October, November. I got back in December, and then I broke my hand and was out for 6 weeks. And then once I was finally ready to get back after that, my sister passed away in February, and it was 2 days before my birthday, and I had a birthday queue set up that Wednesday, which I was not able to plan a workout or even get up to work out. But it was odd that I was able to get up that morning, and I caught the guys at the end that were there, and was able to put together a COT and really just get in there and say some stuff out loud that I had been feeling that I perhaps had not been able to express elsewhere, and that would give me a lot of comfort.
yeah, I mean, you have to wonder, right? If without the group, where would you go to express some of those thoughts or feelings, or just like you said, just get it out? So often we just push it in further and then never deal with it. But and that's pretty fresh, man. How are you doing today with things? One day at a time.
Yeah. It's one day at a time. It's been going, and and like I said, it's been nice to have other. I feel like during that time there was a lot of people were leaning on me, and I felt like F3 was somewhere that I could lean on, and that feeling actually was. I don't know what I would have done without it, to be honest.
Yeah. I love that, man. It's one of those things, right? Every guy needs F3, and F3 needs every guy. So I'm glad you were able to find a place to lean in. The other sort of area of the third F I think about is the sort of community service aspect. Have you had a chance to do any of those events or? What's that been like for you?
Yeah, a little bit. Pit stop. One of our good buddies. He's gone through some personal you know cancer issues with his family, and I know that Project Pink is big with him and Escobar and Skids, and that's so I we were involved in a project. So a lot of the Project Pink fundraising, and we had the Project Pink events last year, the year before. So I think that's been great, just to give back to the community, doing things like that.
I guess you know what, I always make this joke that I always thought that I was a good person before F3, and I was gonna participate in all these things and do these other extracurriculars and give back and things like that, but I wasn't doing those things. And I guess, were you, I mean, I guess involved in doing things within the community, or did F3 kind of catapult that and give you an opportunity to do that?
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, definitely catapulted me into. Yeah, I mean, like for instance, I mean, I had donated blood in years, and then I've been going to the blood bank with you guys every a couple times a year. So, it's I feel like there is a lot of things, not necessarily that pressures you into doing it, but motivates you into doing it. Where things that life's busy, I don't have time, or I think I'm, yeah, exactly like you said. I think I'm a good person. I care about these things, but I just have never made time in my life for it, and I feel like seeing other men make time for it motivates me too.
Oh, I'm curious too, because I've had a hard time getting buy-in from my M on a lot of the F3 activities, but it sounds like your M is she's on board too. What do you think is the driver behind that?
Yeah, I think she's all in because it's been good for me. I mean, it's good high quality people and good high quality events that we're doing, and it's the opposite of where a lot of other people are, and
Well, you're in sales too, right? So you just must be a better negotiator than me, right? No, I'm kidding.
no, not quite.
No,
Do
I
you
think,
feel like besides physically, you've noticed any changes? Anyone, maybe even your M, even mentioning something to you about it?
There's been COTs that I've listened to that have made me more introspective, where I look into the way I do things and the way I treat people, and I feel like perhaps I may be trying better now in my life because of this.
yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think, it's almost every COT, right, is like, it's like, oh man, I'm not doing that well, or, and I think it's good that you have that sort of introspective spirit. I love that. One of the things that I wanted to make sure we get a chance to talk with you about, and you kind of hit on it earlier, but so you come into the group, you get really engaged, you start leading, and then was it like a year later, you and Escobar launched Mission Forge? Walk us through that sort of process.
Yeah, and I think it kind of stemmed off a lot of when Main Stage had opened that August. There was a slew of new guys from the area, and there wasn't a ton of this, really far southwest. We were going between, Sarpy County and Midtown, West Side. It felt like, so to have a couple sites in our little corner of town, and I felt like Monday would have been a good time. It's 15 minutes to Red Wings. It's 20 minutes to Titan Alley, and 15-20 minutes to the district. So I'm like, if we got a Monday site right here, that would be just good for our neighborhood. And yeah, it proved to be real popular. Initially we were going to do another Murph site, but we kind of felt with just bringing in so many new guys, that the Murph being somewhat of an intimidating workout, we just set it up as a regular beatdown, but with a Smurf option or a pre-Murph option. So we were still able to Murph every morning and then get a workout in, and it proved to be popular. I mean, we held pretty strong numbers all through the winter, and it was a great experience.
Well, that's great. And I feel like that's something we don't necessarily hit on is what actually goes into identifying your AO. Like, what were you guys thinking about? I know you kind of talked about distance from one location to another, but what else kind of went into your thought process of identifying that location?
Yeah, we had looked at a couple of kind of looking at that corner. Funny story. Escobar and Chippendale too. They were both really into the green beans coffee that's on 168th and Harrison. So we're like, well, what's around here? And there's the Mission Park right there, and then there was a couple elementary schools that we looked at. And Mufasa actually lives right there in Mission Park, and he had been talking about doing that as well. So there's a lot of a lot of input that we took into kind of selecting that site. And yeah, it ended up being a great site.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I mean, the location was key, and I love that. I mean, coffee, right? We know how key that is, so why not
Yeah.
pick a local coffee shop? I think that's the only coffee shop I've seen that actually has. Was you and Escobar got him an F3 mug, right? Or
Yep. They got a mug there on the shelf in there. Yep.
yeah, they've got some F3 swagger, and I'll tell you if anybody likes a dirty chai tea, so chai tea with espresso, they have the best one in town. So I'll just tell you that. I do think the other thing you mentioned that Pony, kind of to your question, I think it's how do we stay open to all men, and realizing that like if we're trying to get new guys, there aren't a lot of new guys that want to come in and just start with a Murph, and I think your idea is genius, and we're actually replicating it or trying to in several other areas because we recognize the Murph is something that is just not appealing, to a new guy or somebody that's early in their fitness journey, right? If I've never worked out before, I don't want to do a Murph. That's why we're seeing like Coronado is another one getting great numbers. So it was a great idea on your guys' part. Tell me about the name Mission Forge. What does that mean to you guys?
We I think we had a couple different names lined up, and I think OT was involved in the naming as well. But we wanted to kind of play off the Mission Park, and then we really liked the name Forge, so we kind of Mission Forge evolved from that.
It's kind of like a playoff of like iron sharpening iron type of deal.
Yep, exactly. Yep, we're forging. We're like a forge where you can make each other stronger, and like you said, iron sharpens iron.
That's awesome. So I guess talk to us about your time as a site Q. What did you take from it? What were the highs? Were there any lows? I mean, whatever you feel like sharing here.
Yeah. My time as a site Q, I mean, it was great. It was nice having a co-site Q in Escobar. I mean, he's a very detail-oriented guy, so he was really great with the schedules and the spreadsheets. But it also worked out well with me and him. He travels a lot for work, and I do as well. So it was nice that there's a lot of times where one of us would be out of town. So I mean, there was always someone there, which was nice. But really getting to know other guys. I mean, I after my time there, I tried to, or once I started there, I realized, after workouts, a lot of guys would reach out to me personally, and I tried to do that myself, to reach out to other guys personally and invite them back, invite them to Q, and really get to know a lot of PAX members I didn't know before.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the Site Q role, right? Is you sort of we give you some additional resources so that you can, connect with guys a little bit deeper and sort of steward their engagement or relationship with F3. What about like VQs, getting guys to Q their first workout? Were you able to help with that at all?
Yeah, we had a couple of VQs. The bad thing, one of the downsides of we had our Q schedule set out kind of far at times. So sometimes you'd have a new guy coming in and you'd realize, yeah, this guy's a stud. And then you'd want him to VQ, but then, I can't get him in for 2 months or whatnot. So, but, there was a lot of new guys that came through Mission Forge and Main Stage around the same time that, you could identify as leaders. Like Kickstand's one of the guys that came in, and he was all in from the beginning. And, he really stepped up as well when I kind of had some of my personal struggles this winter. My broken hand, I ended up having hand surgery, and I missed I believe I was supposed to Q on Christmas Eve, and he filled in for me, or the day after Christmas, he filled in for me. and it same with him and Bayside filled in for me on my birthday cue there at main stage. So, it was great to see guys step up like that, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted him to take the helm once we gave it up.
Hey, real quick before we get into Kickstand and Chippendale, I remember you guys launched, and I reached out like the week after you launched to get on the queue schedule, and the response I got from it was either you or Escobar. You were like, "Yeah, we can get you on there. The next opening is in January." It was like 6 months out.
Yeah.
So you guys were on top of that queue schedule, man.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, as you're thinking about, you're a site queue and you're kind of watching who's going to be that next leader. And obviously you selected Kickstand and Chippendale, but what went into that decision for you guys? How did you land on those two?
Yeah, to be honest, Chippendale, he lives right here in the neighborhood with us. He lives in Mission Park. I live across in Mission Hills, and he was kind of instrumental as well in selecting the site. And he was one of the guys I talked to a lot when I first started, and he had been, I think he's been in for a year and a half longer than I have. So he's been around for a while, and I felt like he was instrumental in us starting that site, and definitely wanted him to be involved in taking it over. And then kind of like I said with Kickstand, I mean, he came up and he was all in right off the bat, and he showed a lot of leadership when filling in and taking over cues for guys that like myself when I was injured, and showed a lot of leadership in that. And those two guys are just great guys, and I felt like they would take it and put it in great hands with them.
So how does that work with dual site queues? Do you guys both get to pick one guy, or do you get to veto his vote, or how? You got to come to a consensus.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny with me and Escobar. I mean, we kind of both had our ideas, and both those guys were at the top of both our lists. I mean, it really wasn't even much discussion. I'm like, Kickstand and Chippendale, and they're both right up there.
That's awesome. No, that's good. And, it's good that you got, Chippendale, you're right, has been in for a while, and, getting him more engaged or keeping him engaged through a leadership role, definitely a good idea there. Tell us, one of the things that we sort of like to ask for is just sort of from your perspective, as you've been in this for a couple of years now, you've led a site, what sort of advice or encouragement would you have for maybe other leaders or other packs, just to kind of keep pushing forward, keep accelerating?
Yeah. Advice I would say is just definitely lean into the other guys. Lean on them if you need to. And, I try to, if I'm at a workout and there's a guy I've never seen before, never met before, I try to introduce myself, try to engage, and keep them engaged. And I think that's one of the biggest things that keeps F3 in Omaha, at least expanding like crazy, like it is these new guys are coming in and they're all in as well. So I would say just keep engaging the new packs and yeah, keep it growing.
Yeah, I think that's a recipe for some success here in F3 Omaha for sure. And that's for new guys, and that's for vets too. Just keep reaching out, connecting. We like to use this as an opportunity too to ask you personally if there's any words of encouragement that you could use if some of the packs see you out there. Thoughts and prayers, anything that you would like to share with us that maybe you'd like some encouragement for?
Yeah, I just really just want to keep my family in your prayers, especially my dad and my stepmom, losing my sister. Just it's only been, I guess it's already been 4 months now, which is crazy. But it's definitely been a trying time, and having someone to lean on has been good for my mental health.
Well, it's tough, and I just want to encourage you to keep coming out, and I'm happy that you are. That's a tough thing to deal with, but for you to recognize that you've got some guys here that are willing to be there for you, I think is a huge step.
Yogi, are you Are you in a
Go ahead.
space where you're comfortable? I mean, you've kind of told us about it here, but like, are you comfortable talking about it one on one with guys, or what's you prefer we just give you a fist bump, say praying for you, or are you okay if guys ask questions or?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely open to it. It's yeah, it's you know, anyone that I feel like with F3, I mean, if there's anyone that's a workout, it's not they're not a stranger. They're part of the brotherhood, and I'm open to sitting down and chatting with anybody in the group.
Well, we certainly appreciate the vulnerability and even being willing to open and talk about it. So we'll definitely respect your wishes here. On a somewhat lighter note, if you had an option, what would you name your episode of The Gloom?
Huh? I don't even know actually. Yeah, you guys could surprise me.
Nice.
We can do that too. We've done that too.
Yeah, you never thought through like if I had a book or a TV show or a movie made after me, here's what I would call it. Maybe that's just me.
I think that's just you, Blake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll text you later if I think of something.
Okay, awesome. One other question, just sort of as we're wrapping up here. So during our 5-year week anniversary, Tater and Wait Time did a workout down at the Woodshed, and they kind of had this COT, and just a really good question. I want to get your thoughts on. So the question is, what was something that you thought was important when you started F3, and what do you realize is more important now?
That's a good question. Everyone has their vices, and I guess before F3, I mean, I may have been. I've never had I guess I thought it was important to have to go out drinking to have a good time, or to meet guys, or to socialize, and I feel like I really was able to open up more without a social lubricant, you could say. That, and another thing I always had a problem with, not a problem, but just I definitely was a nervous speaker, public speaker. I always had a lot of anxiety when it came to, I mean, even speaking in front of a group of coworkers. But I feel like after a couple of years of F3 and leading workouts and speaking in front of, 55 guys that showed to our shovel flag launch, or pass, it's get over that anxiety real quick.
Well, then look at you today. You're on the most popular podcast in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that, man, because I think that's the sort of confidence, right? Helping guys build confidence, and that transforms to reinvigorated male community leadership, So I think that's great. And I love that you've received that, and that you've leaned into that. So that's awesome. Anything else that you feel like maybe part of your story or something you'd want people to know that maybe we didn't cover?
Yeah, one of the things too, I mean, I know I briefly touched on it before, but just talking to guys and meeting guys that at a workout you never met before. It was last July. I was at the Danger Zone, and that's when I met Wrecking Ball from F3 Des Moines, and he let me know, we were in the same kind of career field, and asked for a resume, and then 3 months later I was quitting my job and going out on my own, and all strictly because of him. And I've been way more, working a lot harder, but a lot more successful in my career, I feel. And it's just, someone like that to push me to do it. And I'm better for it. So it's odd that just random guys that you might meet at a workout that you might never see again, you'd make a quick connection, having a cup of coffee or going on a pre-run, and could completely change, your career path or your life path. So.
Yeah, that's cool. And Wrecking Ball he's from Des Moines, right? So he's F3 Des Moines guy, right?
Yep. He's F3 Des Moines guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you just taking time to share your story, man, and excited to connect with you in the gloom. And for those that are, obviously listening to the podcast, this guy just drove home from Sioux City.
Yep, Sioux City.
with his dog in the back of the car.
Yep.
And successfully was vulnerable and demonstrated leadership, man. So I love it. Appreciate you doing it. We'll
Yeah.
do a little name-orama.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'll start us off here. Brandon Flehardy, 37, The Plague.
The Plague. John Over 31, Pony Express.
Pony, nay.
Yeah. And Adam Ellenberger, 39, Yogi.
Yogi,
Yogi.
hey, boo-boo.
Boo-boo.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks for your
Yeah,
time.
thanks.
Appreciate you guys having me.
All right, brother. Have a good night.